Over the last 4 years, I've edited 33,600 advertisements, and obviously along the way, I've learned a couple of things from just the sheer amount of volume. So if you're an online coach, consultant, or agency, or maybe you have a team, a content team, video editing team, this is gonna be the perfect video for either you to use or to send off to your team to make sure they're doing everything in the most optimal way. So 3 things we're gonna cover. I'm gonna be relatively short video compared to the other ones you've seen on this channel, I'm assuming, but basically we're gonna go over what editing software that you should use and which one is absolutely trash. Do not use this. Your team shouldn't be using this software that we're going to talk about. Number 2 is how to actually edit these ads that most importantly convert into the things that you want. So leads, sales, booked calls, all that kind of stuff, and also keeping that high quality. So just some of the best practices, and then also how to find and more importantly keep a good video editor on your team. My longest video editor has been with me since 2019. I'm recording this in 2025. Actually, maybe Jeff will remind me, but I think it was 2018, 2019 when he started to work with us. And so I figured out a thing or two of how to keep good video editors on the team. So we're gonna cover a lot of stuff in here, and also a Notion document that we'll cover here towards the end. If you want everything just on a really simple couple page SOP document, then you can just send me the word edit SOP, all one word, over on Instagram at Aaron Makes Content, and I'll just send you over that doc. My little automation robot will send it over to you so you don't have to worry about taking notes and missing things within this video. So first things first, let's talk about the video editing software. So let me just be very clear here. This might seem very like nitpicky, but here's the thing. If you're someone that wants to build a large brand, that wants to build a high quality brand, and wants to be plugged into some of the best effects, some of the best transitions, some of the best, just all the things that come with high quality video, what you need high quality video to portray a high quality brand, then I would not stray away from Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, and Final Cut Pro. Now I know what you're saying. You might say, Aaron, I'm using this software or that software. My AI is using this software. I don't care. I've tested a lot of them, and maybe I'll have a different opinion maybe a couple of years down the road, but from testing these things, what usually happens, a lot of these cloud-based editors and things like that, they will take your video, they'll for the sake of like server space, they will degrade the quality of the video and just make it really difficult to get the highest quality possible. It happens every single time. Again, I am concerned about high quality, and I want to keep all the pixels, and I want the video to look the best possible way. So we just use Premiere Pro. We personally use Premiere Pro. I mean, you can use After Effects if you wanted to, but the biggest thing, just please, for the love of everything that is holy, please do not, I repeat, please do not use CapCut. It is the worst when it comes to compression of the video. It messes up the audio a lot of times. The captions and everything on it just look very cheap. So I could go really deep on this, but just listen to me, please, when I'm saying this. Do not use CapCut to edit your videos unless you're like a one-man band and you really you can't learn these other softwares, because I will say there is a learning curve to these, but the learning curve is where the quality comes from, right? Anytime you try to take the easy way out, right, obviously it's just going to be diminished by quality. So anyway, please don't use CapCut. If you are, or at the very, very least, do not hire an editor that you are paying and then you're going to pay them to use CapCut. Just don't do it. So anyway, all that stuff aside, use one of these 3 softwares. Don't use CapCut, and let's move on to the next part. So really what we're going to cover here are 5, really some of the best practices. There's a lot of small things within ads, but if you just follow these 5 things, your ads will be a million times better than if you didn't know about any of these things. And again, it helps from a conversion standpoint, and I'll talk about each of these things on why it helps conversion. So first things first is going to be banner text. So what I mean by banner text is the banner image that is actually at the top of this ad right here. So what this does is essentially it's going to call out your ideal client, either, specifically right here where it says coaches and agencies, are you a coach or course creator, right? It's going to specifically call them out, or it's going to, for lack of a better word, subliminally call them out. So maybe a specific pain point that you talk about at the very top is going to call that person out without saying that person's name specifically. So for example, I'm going to give you guys a couple different angles. So you might be saying, Aaron, what do I put at the banner text? Well, here's a couple examples. So you can do either a case study angle, a problem angle, a solution angle, or a guarantee. Now, in one of the next videos that we're going to produce is going to be around how to turn one ad into 50 different ads. And this is a really easy way to do that, is I wouldn't just choose one of these things to do. I wouldn't just do just the case study or just the problem. Well, guess what? I would just take the same video and do every single one of these, because they're going to all take a different segment of the market. And then you have a bunch of different angles to test, right? You turn one ad into 4 by literally just changing out the headline of that. So when I'm saying banner, you would basically put this text, right? This text, it would go at the top of the ad so that without having to watch the video, you're calling out and giving some sort of resolution or some sort of solution from the person actually watching this video, or they know kind of what to expect without watching the video in its entirety. So here's a couple examples, right? So case study one, John hit $20,000 per month with this, right? So that would go at the very top, right? John hit 20K a month by doing this. The problem would be, audience. So course creators, are you struggling to generate leads? Or, medical clinics struggling to generate leads, right? That would just specifically call out their specific problem. So if the person's scrolling through, they see that problem, guess what? Now they're going to stop and scroll and listen to what the ad's going to say and see if it makes sense to them, right? Same thing with solution, right? We started closing deals instantly after doing this, right? It is really think of it almost like a curiosity peak, right? It's like you're going to pique their curiosity and give them a little bit of a hook, right? A visual hook that is going to grab their attention and then make them curious to see, okay, I need to watch this ad to see what is going to be the solution, right? So it's not necessarily a solution. It's more of like you're baiting them to watch the video to get the solution, if that makes sense. And then you also have a guarantee, right? So we'll place you with a setter or closer, or you don't pay. So if you have I don't think weight loss, you can make specific guarantees, but it's like, if you were to do a guarantee, you'd be like, get your summer body in 30 days guaranteed, or, finances, right? Save $15,000 in your taxes or you don't pay, right? Just some sort of guarantee. Again, you want to have on your ads, every single ad, you will never, well, I won't say never, but 99% of the time when you see one of our ads, right, at either closers.io, or RCA, Remote Closing Academy, is it's going to have this banner image. I will say this, we've tested this, right? We've never had an ad without this banner text outperform one without it. So we do have some ads where we'll actually export the version of the ad without the banner just to kind of test, is less editing better? Never have we ever had an ad that didn't have the banner text outperform the one that did. So anyway, that's all I'll say on the banner text. Just make sure to have that on every single one of your ads at the very top of your ads. Now, this one is pretty straightforward. You probably heard this before, is captions. Every single one, even on our non-edited version of the ads, every single one of our ads will always have captions at the bottom of the video. Now, the reason that is because you probably heard the study, 80+% of people that are on their phones, that are on Facebook, that are on these different ad platforms, they're watching their ads, or they're watching their feeds a lot of times with no sound, right? They may be, out and about. They might be at the doctor's office. I don't know why the doctor's office is always like the go-to explanation, but they might just be out and about where they can't have their sound on. So they're just scrolling and it's going to grab their attention. If you don't have the captions, then the person cannot consume the ad. When you do, and again, if that 80+%, you're only getting in front of 20% of people that actually can consume the ad. So again, very, very simple. Add captions to every single one of your videos. Again, from the editing software perspective, all of these have auto caption features within them. So you literally just transcribe the video, you click captions, it makes captions for you. Very, very straightforward. No reason to not add captions. Now, one small nuance thing, a lot of people will say, you want the captions in terms of the positioning of it. You want it to be a little bit higher. So, ideally these captions might be a little bit higher. We've tested both. I haven't really ever seen it's you want to have the captions right next to the mouth or next to the chin. I've never really seen a difference in performance because we have actually tested that as well. So at the very least, just make sure that you got some sort of captions on your videos. So third thing, this one is a small nuance thing, but it's funny. We've had a couple instances where, our editors won't do this. And then our CMO, Spencer, he's like, what the heck? We need to add the face at the beginning. So what this means is you always want to start your ads with a face on screen versus the first 3 to 4 seconds of the ad, and maybe not even 3 to 4 seconds, just even the first 2 seconds of the ad, you want the person that's watching the ad to understand that this is a face ad versus a faceless ad, especially now with AI and voice replication and things like that. Is if you start with graphics, how do humans usually interact with buying products? Well, they usually interact with like other humans. And when you can see another person on the screen, you're just more likely to consume the ad, right? So you just always, again, very, very small thing, small nuance thing, but you always want to start with a video, at least for the face on screen, at least just for the first handful of seconds, versus having text or a black screen or, you know, graphics or anything like that. So small thing there, but definitely does make a big difference. One of the last ones, number 4 here out of the 5, is going to be aspect ratio. So again, this is a small nuance thing, but it makes a big difference, and it makes your life a million times easier when you're handing this off to your media buyer or whatever it may be. So when I say 4x5, what I mean is a 1080. You can't see that. So 1080 by 1350. So that basically means, you know, this is 1080 by 1350, right? Is the dimensions of your video. And the reason you want to do that is a couple things. So when we're looking at, and this gets a little bit technical, but when we're looking at the placements for advertisements, is what happens is you can do like a vertical placement. The only thing is a vertical, I believe it's 1080 by 1920. Right, that specific placement is not going to be able to run in a lot of times in the feed. I forgot exactly which one it is, but the vertical placement does not run in certain placements on the ads. So what that means is if you have, let's say a 1920 by 1080, and we used to do this as well, and that's why we switched to this version, is because what happens is you would have to do this is a 9 by 16 aspect ratio, and then you have a 3 by 4 or 4 by 5. 4x5 aspect ratio, is what starts to happen is now you need to export for any one ad. You need to export 2 different variations of that, or 2 different versions, because one is for one place and one is the other. With 4x5, it goes in all of the placements, and it's just way easier. Now I think what happens though is the vertical placement, technically that does run in some of the other ones, but what happens is when you have the banner text up here and down here, let's say on vertical, is this up here and this down, or not down there, I'm sorry, just the banner at the top. What happens is that actually gets cut off by a lot of the UI through the safe margins. So when people see that, they actually don't even see the banner itself because it gets cut off. I'll just throw an example on screen because I just audited someone's ads and they had this, and I was like, hey, like you can't even see the banner. And the whole point of the banner is to get them to stop the scroll, right? So that's just the main reason why every single ad that we do, we edit and export in this 4x5. And I would recommend to do the same, just because also, as you can see here, is versus like a 1x1, or, you know, we don't ever do ads like this, but you know, what happens is it starts to, as you can see, it takes up more screen real estate. So when you're watching a video, again, even you might have the argument, oh, well, you know, this vertical placement would be more. Well, technically, it only shows up 4x5. So you would have to click into it to get the full screen. So I just don't really see a point in it. So always just do 4x5. I know I've said that a million times, but send this off to your editor. Be like, stop doing 1080 by 1920. Just do 4x5 at the 1080 by 1350 pixels on their editing software. By the way, up here, very difficult to do on CapCut. CapCut, I don't believe, has this as a native export feature. You have to do some like weird maneuvering around it. It's just annoying. So another plug to not use my good friend CapCut. All right, so last thing jumping in here, this is like, well, I saved the best for last here, guys. Like the biggest leverage, in my opinion. These are all very high leverage, but the biggest things here, guys, audio. And this, you might have heard this saying before. I use this with any client that I bring on, or any clients that we bring on, is you can have video, right? But once your audio is trash, no one is going to watch your video and they're clicking off immediately. So there's really 3 different things you would look forward to. Number 1, or not look forward to, but you know what I'm saying, look into. First things first is your audio. So my recommendation is, so there's this thing called Adobe podcast filters. On other apps, it might be called like a voice enhance and things like that. But if you just search up Adobe Podcast, when you use Adobe products, it's natively in the software itself. But if you didn't have it, you can just go to Adobe Podcast and you can just take your audio, you can export it from your video, throw it into the website, and it'll actually do this for you. It'll clean up the audio. But what happens is this allows you to use, like, let's say I use my phone audio, or maybe something messed up within the audio itself. What Adobe Podcast does is an AI filter. And what it does is it literally it doesn't like fix the audio. What it does is it takes your audio, it recreates it with AI, and then it basically, you use that as the filter, right? So the biggest thing though too is I wouldn't just use this as like your, it's going to save every single piece of audio. I would still natively, or not natively, what am I trying to say? I would still, like the raw footage, you still want it to be decent, right? I wouldn't just like not invest into mics. I would still get like some sort of mic like this, or, one of the clip-on mics. And then if you need to fix it with Adobe Podcast, I wouldn't just like always rely on Adobe Podcast, because it's not going to fix everything, right? It starts to sound very fake if it like basically works over time trying to fix your voice. So nonetheless, just make sure that the sound of your voice and as you're speaking is very clear, because if not, the whole point is to get your point across, right? To get your message across. So first things first is fix the audio. Now these two big things here are some of my biggest pet peeves. Like I don't know why, like almost every single time I'll audit a video or like an ad or whatever, it's like, this is usually wrong, which is like kind of mind blowing to me. So the biggest thing is you want to make sure that your music volume and your sound effects volume, so things like transitions or money dings, or, a lot of people will use different sound effects. I will watch these videos and they are like super loud. I'm like, you can't even hear the person talking. The whole point of it is to hear the person talking. And it's like the music is overpowering. The sound effects are way louder than the music and the person talking. I'm like, okay, there's something wrong here. So this is a general rule of thumb, but you can start your music volume. I got this directly from my editor, so I would trust him. His name is Jeff. So you want to start the music volume track at -30, and then you might need to stair step it up to -40 decibels. Right, so you just click the audio and you change the decibels, either -30, -40. My sweet spot that I found, if the audio sounds good, is like -34 to 36, because you still want it to be there, but you don't want it to like overpower the entire video. So I found is like -34 to -36 is usually pretty good, and then your sound effects volume is going to be -5, -10. This is going to be very dependent on where you get your sound effects, because some sound effects, like if you're getting it from YouTube, it's usually like already overpowered and then you have to bring it down a lot. But just like as basic as it might sound, like listen back to it to make sure that you don't export a file that you can't even hear. Right now, on that note, is I would do the headphone test. So you need to make sure that you listen with and without headphones, right? Again, send this to your editor with and without headphones. Because, as an editor, a lot of times is they'll edit with headphones in, right? Whether it's like earbuds or straight up headphones. And the thing is you can hear a lot of the nuances in there. But what happens is when you unplug that and you actually play it from your speakers, is the audio is very different, right? So what you want to do is basically just like monitor it, with and without, because a lot of times like people are going to listen with headphones. Like let's say they're out and about and they're watching the video, and there are also some people that listen without. So you want to make sure that the volume of everything, right? The audio of your dialogue, the music, and the sound effects, you want to make sure that it's all normalized, and you want to make sure that it just sounds good with and without headphones. Very, very important step here, because I've seen like a lot of times audio is wrong for that specific reason. So that being said, those are the 5 common best practices that I would say. There's a lot of smaller nuanced things. If you have any questions, if you're like, oh, well, what about this? What about that? Obviously, you can leave them down in the comment section below. Now I want to actually jump over to my computer, and I want to go through the document around just how to find and keep good video editors, because I have a pretty good process around doing that. We've never had to, let go an editor because of the quality of their work or anything like that. And I think that just has to do with the training and the expectations that we set for the editor. So let me jump over to the screen now. So let's talk about it. So one of the main questions, and we kind of talked about this already, but should you edit the videos yourself or should you find a video editor? So my recommendation, 1,000,000%, I'm just gonna add some zeros in here, 10 billion % is find and hire a video editor for your videos. I'll tell you guys a quick story, is Cole Gordon, when I first started working with him back in 2020, 2021, I originally came on to just help him with some video editing, some YouTube stuff. And, it's funny, he was doing like over, I think $1 million a month at the time. And he was still editing his own videos. I was like, dude, you're a freaking savage, but also like, let me take it off your plate because I want to make it look better, right? And that's the thing, is like at the time, I think branding wasn't as important as it is today, right? Everyone is like big on branding and quality and that type of thing. So back then, I don't think you necessarily had to be that great at video editing, because he was like one of the big guys in the space already. And he could get away with it. But yeah, 100%, if you're someone that's like, even like over 10 grand a month, I would definitely just like hire it, right? Now, the only like contingencies I said is like, unless it's something that you enjoy doing, it's like therapeutic to you. I will do a lot of like of my own projects every once in a while, like creative projects. But I still like, if it's like my family and stuff, it's still like, even if you're good at it as well, I just wouldn't waste your time figuring it out. But again, I just put a little contingency here. Like, honestly, if you do like it, I would still find an editor, because your time is best leveraged to ultimately hit your goal doing something else, right? So like through sales calls, through leading your team, right? Through lead generation. There's so much, or like actually creating the content, right? Creating ads, running the ads. There's so much other places that your time can go versus like learning a skill that's just very easily to hire out, because there's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of good video editors out there. So let's talk about how do you find a good editor. So I always recommend Fiverr or Upwork. These are going to be your best friend. I personally prefer Fiverr because you get a pretty good understanding around what their work is like, right? So you can, like, for example, have this link on this document here, which again, you can just DM me that word from the beginning. What was it? Edit SOP. Yeah, edit SOP. If you send me that over on Instagram, I can send this over to you. But essentially, just search up, depending on what you're doing, you can do YouTube video editor, ad video editor, whatever it may be. And then what you can do is like understand and go through here and just like see what is the style that you want to go for, right? Obviously, if you go to a video and you don't like this like green screen type stuff, then I probably wouldn't hire this person, right? Or maybe, this type of caption style is good and you like that person, then, I would do that. So some of these, it's going to be fully dependent on what you're looking for, right? If you want more like the bro-y style, quick edits, then, you could do something like that. If you want the more cinematic version, kind of like that, if you want this like vlog style, stuff like that, then I would just, again, you get a very good understanding of what the video is going to be when you're going through these different examples. So another like quick tip that you can do is, let's say you have a specific, like here's what I found with a lot of people. And this kind of goes right into my next point here, is a lot of times what happens is people have an understanding of like, they like videos that they like watching. So, and yeah, let's just go to the next point, because that'll basically be what it is the process is I want you guys to just create a list of 5 to 10 videos from YouTube that fits a style that you like and would want to emulate. So I say YouTube, but it can be video ads, YouTube videos, Instagram, short form content, whatever it is. Just find like 5 to 10 styles that you like, put them on a spreadsheet. And what's the reason why a lot of people are not happy with their video editor or whatever is because you don't give them the correct direction of what to do and set the right expectations of like, hey, here's what I enjoy, here's the style that I'm going for. Because what happens is you send them a video, you don't give them direction, and they give you back just their interpretation of it. And then inevitably you're not going to like it because there's no direction that was given. So that's why I say just create a list of 5 to 10 videos from YouTube that fits the style you want. And then you can scroll through the video editors, like I said, and see if any of them can fit the style you're going for. So even like, for example, if you just really love, maybe there's like a big creator out there. So, Iman Gadzhi is a good example. Is like, he has a ton of subs and he has a very specific editing style. So it's like, I will edit your videos like Iman Gadzhi, right? If you like Iman Gadzhi and you like that style, then, you can obviously search him up. Maybe it's like Alex Hermosi. You can search him up and you'll see a lot of videos, editing styles of him specifically. So it'll just give you a really good example. Also, there's, another example is, this other guy, Devin Jatho. He's not what's it called? He's not as popular as it used to be, but, there was a time where everyone was like, I want the Devin Jatho style. It was like on some of these apps, he actually became well-known on that specifically. So it's like, you just want to have an understanding of what type of style you are going for. So again, now here's the thing, if they do match the style and you think that they can, do what you're going to do, you still want to, before you like buy anything, is just send them a message and then send a doc of your examples and then ask, hey, so like, do you think you can emulate style 1, 2, and 3, right? I know 5 to 10, honestly, 5 to 10 might be kind of a lot. I would maybe, let me just put this in here. Like ideally, like 2 or 3, because a lot of times it'll lead to indecision, and like if the styles are drastically different, then it's going to be really hard for them to kind of pinpoint what it is. And also just be very specific. I'll put that in here as well. Be very specific on what you like. about the styles. So a lot of times, like, you'll see a video and it's like, okay, well, I like the text on this one, or I like the transition style on this one, or I like the minimalist or over editing style on these. So just be very, very specific on ultimately what you like on these videos. So then once they agree to this, you're going to say, okay, cool. So you're going to send them your raw footage, give them the overview of any specifics you want in the video. So let's say there's a specific title, images, graphics, maybe you have screenshots that you want to incorporate. Like, you just put it on a document, like fill out a document, put the raw file, Google Drive of all your raw footage, and then just like all the different things you want to incorporate in the video. I like sending a Loom video that goes through, like, here's what I'm looking for. Now, here's very, very important is when you get the first version back, do not look at it and be like, oh my gosh, this sucks, right? Because what's going to happen is you are never going to find the style that you want if you just immediately think that someone is going to, like, blow your mind the first time without understanding you, your styles, what you're looking for. I'll tell you a great example is at this point, I can send any raw footage with very little examples and what I want to Jeff, one of my main video editors, and he will give you basically a perfect thing every single time back of, like, the right transitions, the right text, the right fonts, or the right everything. Almost perfect. I might change a couple, like, small nuanced things, but it's almost perfect every single time. But it's because we've been working together for 5+ years. And he understands my style. He understands what I want, but it's very unrealistic to just, like, expect that you're going to get something back right away when the person has no idea what you're wanting, even if you are sending in a bunch of examples. So again, when you get the video back, is you need to give them thorough feedback. Pull up a Google Doc, pull up record a Loom video, and literally go line by line, second by second in the video, and just try to communicate what you like and what you don't like. So if there's a specific transition, say, hey, I don't really like that. If there's a specific font that you like, hey, I really like that font. If there's a specific sound effect that you're like, no, that's too cheesy, tell them about that, right? So just go through line by line by line by line. And what's happening is you're then refining your process, you're refining your style so that, let's say, the second or third or fifth video that they do for you is ultimately going to be way better than the first, right? So here's the thing, and I put a main like asterisk little light bulb moment over here, is editors are just like I don't know why people just assume that video editors or, like, creative people are just like these geniuses and they can get everything the first try. But you want to think of it this way: editors are just like any other team member out there, right? It's going to take them some time to learn you, your style, and ultimately what you're going for, right? So for example, like, if you have a new salesperson coming on your team, or any role, right? If you have a new salesperson, they're usually not going to come in and just like, okay, I'm closing at 25%, right? They need to learn the offer. They need to learn the verbiage. They need to learn the company culture. They need to gain conviction around the company itself, right? There's so many things that they need to learn in order for them to become a good salesperson. So why would you expect an editor to come in and just, like, crush it, video one? It just doesn't make sense. To give you an idea, right? Our video editors will usually take about 3 months to get fully ramped. We've kind of gotten broken down to where it'll usually take about a month, but still, like, we're looking at 30 days of consistent production of ads, videos, YouTube, short form, all that kind of stuff. And being able to, give them the feedback that they need in order to get to the point that they're ultimately looking for. So again, I just can't stress it enough, is have the right expectations. They're not going to do anything crazy overnight. And when you do actually pour into that person as a team member, I promise you, if you keep them for, 1, 2, 3 months, they are going to figure it out and learn your style so that it just gets to a point where you just send them raw footage and they give you back what you want every single time. So now you know exactly how to edit videos so that they convert on these advertising platforms. But one of the biggest hacks that I found is you actually turn one ad into 50+ different variations of the ad, so you don't have to record new ads. And a lot of times these are going to perform better than brand new ads anyway. So click the video on screen. I'll show you exactly how to do that. And this is the same process that we use, as well as a lot of other 8- and 9-figure brands, to really scale their advertising as efficiently as possible. Click the video on screen. We'll see you there.